My name is Aaron Poston. I train out of American Top Team HD. Getting the affiliation behind us now and everything, being able to go down and have the opportunity to go down to Florida and train, and then also, getting some names up here, and starting off obviously with LC and Jason, you got some big time experience there. There's just no way to not get better with the high level training partners that we have and that we're going to keep getting in here. But I like the mentality here. It's kind of a more grinded out mentality. A lot of guys come from wrestling backgrounds, and coming up here, I really wanted to work on my wrestling foundation and everything. So I mean, this gym works as a perfect fit. I didn't have any background of any kind when I got into fighting. It was just kind of a random deal. I saw a friend, he said he was doing it, and really knew nothing about it, but I figured I'd give it a try because I wasn't enjoying co-rec softball or anything like that. Just wasn't competitive, and had an older brother when I was growing up that he kind of beat me up on a daily basis. Coming up with these guys and working with that extensive wrestling background really helps out, and helps build on my whatever foundation I already had. The competition I've fought thus far hasn't been the most extreme, the most difficult. They've all been respectable guys. I have nothing but respect for all of them. Any one of them, if I would have made a mistake, they could have caught me. But it was kind of, I went along with the hometown promoter, and just kind of, I adopted the philosophy of building up the record and getting into the tougher fights as I go and everything. I had a boxing match in December, and I completely ruptured the tendon from the bone at the elbow, and that kind of that put me on a 6 or 7 month break to where I'm just now getting back in and getting ready to have my first fight back. Bellator, RFA, Victory. Right now, I only want fights that are gonna kind of bump me up in the rankings. Win or lose, you got to fight the top level guys to see how good you really are and what you've got inside of you. I'm always the first to admit, on my fight record and everything, it was padded a little bit and everything. You kind of fall into that trap a little bit, and you buy into it, and you're okay. I'll take a couple fights, build up the record, because it is a crucial element. I went out to the Ultimate Fighter tryouts. They just flat out said there's some guys that weren't moving on because their records weren't good enough. And there's other guys that, probably had a little bit of a padded record, and that helped them get through and everything. Because, you build up your record and you can get those big fights, but, at the same time, you got to be ready for it too. You got to know what you're doing when you take those fights, because down the road, you're going to reach a point where you've got to be ready to fight, because you're going to have those fights, and that's all that's going to be there for you. So when I first started fighting and everything, and even until I moved up here just over 2 years ago, like I said, I was just kind of a grappler. I wanted to get the guy on the ground as fast as I could and choke him out and be done with it. And I was intimidated by the boxing. I spent so much effort trying not to get hit, and it frustrated me. And actually, I got into boxing by accident, or however you want to say. I was scheduled for a fight, and the promoter texted me the morning of weigh-ins, and he said, "Well, you're the only MMA fight on the card, and we don't want to pay for the extra insurance. Would you rather do boxing?" And the way he kind of asked it is, there wasn't much of a choice. It's either you're boxing or you're not fighting. So I went ahead and took the boxing match, and it was kind of odd because the gloves felt so big and I wasn't used to it. And I spent the first 30, 45 seconds every time the guy came in to throw a punch. I kept changing my levels and wanting to take him down, so I had to get that out of my mind and everything. But I ended up winning a minute 20 into the first round on a TKO. Said when I moved up here, I was still, pretty intimidated by the stand-up. I always avoided it, and then I just got to the point where I was frustrated with myself, and I figured, I'm just going to keep doing it and walking forward and taking something to get everybody's best punch and throwing back until I'm not scared of it anymore. And the boxing, it gives me more stand-up experience and everything, and training to to where that will translate over into the MMA. And you know, I've always been told that you got to train to stand up, because every fight in MMA you start standing up. So I want to get my stand up higher, because you know I fight in the 145 pound weight class. So I'm going to be going against a bunch of grapplers. I want to get to the point where they fear the boxing, and you know get them up, get everything up together with the boxing and the grappling, to where I can control the fight wherever I want it. I'm Aaron Poston. I'm the future of MMA.